KKHT wants you to meet three of the classiest guys in real estate.
I am Chris Kelso, the maestro of mortgage.
I am Rob Cook, the godfather of real estate.
And I'm Joe Orsack, the king of credit swing. And together, we're the Real Estate Rat Pack. Much like us, real estate right now is smoking hot. So whether it's buying, selling, or owning, you need to check out the Real Estate Rat Pack.
They're here to take your calls and answer your questions live. Call now, 1-800-808-5548. And now, the Real Estate Rat Pack.
Woo! Good morning.
Have my coffee. I'm all hyped up, ready to go.
Ready to go. You know, we have a great show today. You know, one of the things we want to welcome everybody who's listening to us. More importantly, beautiful Saturday morning out there.
Beautiful.
And we have a great show for those who are either first-time home buyers or re-engaging in the home buying process. Maybe you've owned a home for a little while. You're going to come back in the market. You're going to either sell or buy a new home. You know, really, we're talking about everything, aren't we, today,
That's
Joe?
right. If it's been longer than 3 years, I promise you it's going to be like buying a new home.
Absolutely. You know, and that's one of the things that we tell everybody is we're a live show, so if you have a question, give us a call, 800-808-5548. We want to hear from you if you have a question in regards to buying, selling your home, or anything in regards to real estate. Specifically today, it's about the home buying process.
That's right. We've got listing experts, we've got buying experts, we've got credit experts, we've got mortgage experts. And Rob's missing. He just missed out on being an expert.
He just missed out on being an expert. Well, you know, we do miss him a lot, though. He's actually out in California having a great time today.
Yes. I believe family member, nephew getting married. So
that is correct, you know.
Hug the fam for us, Rob. I know you're listening. At 7 a.m.
At 7 a.m. over there. But, you know, we also have one of our sponsors, Capital Title of Texas, and they brought in a very good first guest to really get the show started for us.
Absolutely.
You know, we have Teresa Kennedy. She is with the Kennedy team. Teresa, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much.
Welcome aboard, by the way.
Thanks.
You know, and one of the things we're going to start off with today is talking about the process associated with home buying and new home buyers, right?
Yes.
And a lot of times we were talking about during the break or actually not really a break, before the show.
Before the show.
is really the process of a lot of people don't realize.
Here's your coffee.
Exactly. Is that, you know, a first-time home buyer is really considered those who have not been in the home buying process for 3 years.
Yes.
Right? But you also have home buyers who are re-engaging in the process, and a lot of times that process comes about by starting to list their property.
Yes.
You know, talk a little bit about you and your team and about the listing process.
Well, we focus in the Woodland, Spring Conroe area, and I, as a listing specialist, I meet with these homeowners because, like you said, it's been a couple of years or it may be their first time ever to sell their house. And everything, if you've noticed, is online. It's social media. 98% of buyers are looking online now to purchase their homes. So whenever I do meet with these homeowners and discuss the selling process, I really take them from A to Z. What I get from them is that they have no clue. They were never explained the whole process. And I think because the market is so amazing right now that it's really good to educate them and that they get a qualified agent. And my team, we can definitely serve them. I only list homes. I have 2 buyer specialists that work with our buyers, and I have a great marketing specialist gal and photographer, stager. Staging the home is really important to get
Let's talk about that. You know, I've bought a couple homes in my life, but I actually have never sold a home yet. So for me, it's a completely new process, right? I'm a big fan of real estate, and I want to keep it.
Yeah, I would think so.
So it would be a brand new experience for me. Now, obviously, I know the industry, and I know a lot of folks in the industry, so I know there's a difference. But let's talk about the difference between someone who is focused on being a listing agent versus being a buyer's agent. For some people, that may never have hit their radar to say, you know, is there a difference, or why should I consider a different, you know, focus?
And thank you for that question, because what I tell a lot of clients whenever I go and I meet with them, you would not want your dentist who maybe does 2 or 3 root canals a year to do your root canal. You'd want a specialist, an endodontist, to do your root canal.
Sure.
So it's kind of the same thing whenever you're going to sell your house, because those of you who have worked with buyers, or buyers who have worked with buyer's agents, you're in the car all day long looking at homes, right? So as a listing specialist, what I do is my first 3 hours of the day, if you listen to my voice message, it says I'm prospecting in my office for buyers for my clients' houses. I'm in the office, I'm making phone calls, I'm following up. I am trying to sell my clients' houses versus being in a car showing buyers all day, because I can't, I found myself, as a mom of 3 boys and a working mom, that I was 7 days a week till 2:00 in the morning, and I was not servicing my clients the way that they deserved to be serviced. So I figured, leverage myself, have someone work specifically with the buyers so that the buyers get 110%, service, and I can service my sellers 110%. So
I was going to ask you how long it took driving around in Houston traffic before you determined you wanted to be a listing agent.
Oh, let me tell you. Well, you know what? I kind of gravitated that way because, when I told you.
this.
Yeah. Oh, man. Let me tell you something. It's like road rage. No, I'm kidding. I gravitated towards it because I love the marketing aspect of it. I love sitting down. I'm a people person. I love people. I love helping them out and learning their stories and doing the best that I can. So that's what I love to do.
You mentioned something right there. I think that's very important. One of the things we talk about a lot is when you're selecting a provider, and obviously we're going to be talking a lot today about the different providers that exist, both on the realtor side of things, credit, mortgage, inspections, etc. But you also have to do business with individuals you enjoyed being with, that you have a good relationship with, that you established a rapport with, and sometimes that exists and sometimes that doesn't. But what I tell everybody is, it's not always the best thing to go and hire your best friend, because that's not necessarily the best thing for you, right?
Exactly.
It's about finding the best professional, and then more importantly, someone that you also can relate to. Because at the end of the day, real estate is still a very personal transaction.
It is. And, one other thing that I totally forgot to mention is fiduciary responsibility. I don't do dual relationship. One thing that I do tell my clients is, as a listing specialist, you will never have to worry about me working on buyers on the sale of your house. Like some agents that do both sides, they list a home and they hold the open houses themselves and they work with the buyer. And I don't do that. I provide only to my sellers, and that's why I have my buyer specialist. They will work with any potential buyers that call on their property, and their homes are always going to get showed because I have a team working with me. And I do create a great relationship with all my clients. I believe that how I would want to be treated is how I treat everyone else. And when I first moved home, I was living out in Los Angeles doing stand-up comedy at the Comedy Store and the Laugh Factory, and moved back home to have my family here. And the realtor was the listing agent and the buyer's agent, and we didn't know anything about it. And you want to talk about, we moved in, none of the repairs had been done. He told us pay list price. We paid list price. He told us we didn't need a home warranty. We didn't get a home warranty. First thing that went out.
Glad Bill's not here today.
Right?
First thing that went out was a $500 oven panel repair. And the guy was like, "Don't you have a home warranty on your house?" And I was like, "No, because that realtor told us we didn't need one."
Oh, wow.
So I was like, always worked and love people. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be a realtor and make sure that never happens to anyone else.
Well, let's talk about real quick, as a listing agent now. I'm your client.
Yes.
And I'm selling my house.
You're such a handsome client.
Oh,
my mom always said I had a face for radio.
You Oh, no.
She almost said you do.
I almost said you do. You know what? Because you are so, you make us feel comfortable with that warm, genuine smile you have.
Nothing to do with anything. I love when I'm out and about and people go, "You look familiar." And I always love that line because I immediately say, "You might recognize me from my radio show." I just wait for that to register on them. They're like, "No, I don't think that's it." Okay, so I'm listing my house now. I know nothing.
Okay.
All right. What am I needing to do? What is going to be the first thing that you're instructing me on that I need to deal with in being ready to list?
Okay. Well, what I do is I have my listing packet that I put together, and it is awesome. It totally explains everything that you need, as well as me sitting there and going over everything with you. I hire my stager to come out and meet with all of my clients, and because it's her job to tell them, well, you need to take this picture down, or you need to, move this or here. Look, as homeowners, we're all really proud of our houses, and so it can be very emotional, and I would never want to offend anybody. So I just sit down, I hear their wants and their needs, and then I explain the process. I tell them about my team after they've told me about what their wants and needs are, when they need to move by, what they're wanting to get out of the net of their home, because it's a teamwork. It's both of us, you and myself, Mr. Seller, and or Mrs. Seller. But and
maybe the wife.
And then I got a great checklist of stuff that they need to do. But really, I get Marcia, my stager over there, and she just does such a great job. Statistically, they sell a lot faster.
Absolutely.
When they're
I
staged.
wanted to jump on that. We have a great home stager that sponsors the show, and I preach this all the time. I get cards on occasion from the realtor. You know, I'm out in the community a lot, and I get cards from business owners, and you flip the card over, and they have the Ambit Energy sales and Noni Juice, and I walk dogs, and I do house roofing, and whatever.
Oh,
and I'm like, so you just told me you're not good at any of that stuff.
Yeah, and exactly. Which is why, because the market, we really want to make sure that anyone, and this is just me as someone who did not know anything about buying a house, you really want to make sure you work with a qualified realtor. And if you do go, I've actually got a questionnaire on my website, kennedyteam.net.com was taken. It was
I saw that already.
Yeah, Teresa Kennedy. She's a brain surgeon. How about that?
Who also sells real estate.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, now let me pull my other mask off. So let me take a look at your brain today.
Teresa, if you're out there, I'm sorry. That was a joke.
No.
I was just kidding.
Anyway,
don't sue me.
No, don't sue him. He's got too sweet of a face. KennedyTeam.net. Go on there. I've got a great questionnaire. If you're interviewing an agent, print that out. Use that, because anybody, it's just like anyone can say that they can bake a cake. Anyone can say they sell real estate, but are they qualified? And that's what you want to make sure.
Interview your realtor. Okay,
I don't know if I'm qualified to bake a cake. That's a very good
Well,
right
now,
there.
listen, Chris, we're not talking about Betty Crocker, the little home kit that you
okay.
got
You're
for
talking
Christmas
about the one
one
you actually
year.
have to make hand stretch.
Yeah. We're talking about, Cake Boss cakes.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, and Cake Boss is a good show, by the way. And he makes some cool stuff out there. But getting back to one of the things that you mentioned right there is obviously there's a way you go about and you interview individuals that you want to work with. And we circle back around about doing business with individuals and with professionals that you like. For those individuals who have not been in the market for a little while, let's assume, first-time home buyers are one thing. Those individuals who, in my opinion, who have never owned a home. But then you have reoccurring home buyers who have been in the market at one point.
Yeah.
But this market is completely different right now.
Totally different.
What are some of the big things that you've seen and changes 5 years ago from today, or even last year from today?
Well, one big change that I see is the whole social media and not doing print. I tell a lot of my clients it's a waste of money, because if you look, catalogs, now they're all being emailed to you. And the same thing with all of my listings, we create personal websites and we do a text sign writer. Instead of putting those take one flyers out, my sign writer, when a buyer texts it, because 62% of buyers are drive-bys,
right.
When they text it, it sends me that potential buyer's phone number, and it pulls up my client's personal website on their cell phones. So it's really, because we have these smartphones and everything, it's about utilizing that it doesn't really cost anything. It's free to use e-flyers, websites, everything online. And also, I think that our market is definitely recovered. And I'm a very statistical girl, and I show my clients graphs of what their neighborhood performance looks like, for the past 10 years. And so it's, making that, using all the online tools that we have, making that smart decision together for list price and where they could potentially sell.
No, and I would agree with you. I think social media has taken off today, between Facebook and Twitter and everything that's going on. There was a statistics that I saw the other day that something like 83% of all home buyers initiate some type of search online.
Yeah.
Which is huge,
Yeah.
And so if you start looking at things like that, you start really realizing that's a big change. 5 years ago,
huge.
the internet wasn't there.
Yeah.
Today, the internet is there. And today, we're going to have to come to the break right now.
I think the internet's a fad.
It just goes by so fast right now. Rob, we have Rob Cook, actually, who has called in, so we're going to have him right after the break. Come on. So to everybody. But, you are listening to the Real Estate Rat Pack. We are going to take a break right now. We'll be right back.
Don't ask me, I won't dance, madam, with you. My heart won't let my feet do things that they should do.